test. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check. There we go. Hey, everybody. If you could make your way to the seats. If you're back by the elevators, we're gonna get started here in just 1 second. This is like your 2-minute warning. Your 2-minute warning. If you're back by the concession stand, make your way up. We're getting ready to get started. That's what I'm afraid of. They can't hear back in the back. Yeah. Hey, Bruce James. Check. Hey, Bruce James.
If we could have everybody move to your seats, please. We're going to be beginning the program here in just a couple of minutes. Let's have everybody move to their seats. Thank you very much.
Chris came. So, check. Okay. If you're in the back of the room, please make your way up. This is your 2-minute warning.
Hey, I'll introduce you here in just a second. As soon as we start.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, test 1 2. I hope everybody can hear me. It is 11 p.m. Basil does not like to be late. You know anything about David Basil? He wants to be on time. So we're going to go and get this thing started. Thank you all for coming here to the Little Rock Touchdown Club 2024 season announcement. Before we get to our speaker lineup, which we know is the reason you're all here. You want to get this speaker announcement as soon as possible. We can't wait to deliver another amazing season. Before we get to that, and before we get to Baz, please welcome one of our presenting sponsor, but one member from them, from Simmons Bank. Please welcome Chris White to give our opening statement here today. Chris.
All right, this is a little better than last year. Last year I felt like I was going to fall down just standing up here. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our Simmons Bank associates that are here today. I'd like to thank David and his team for all that they do for the community. We're a community-based organization as well, and probably one of the premier banks in the region. And events like this, gathering together like this, is extremely important for our bank and, to be honest, the future of our communities. Obviously excited to be here at War Memorial Stadium and Simmons Bank Field at War Memorial Stadium. And I'd be remiss if I didn't, take a minute to thank our veterans, the men and women that serve us every day, and those that are doing things for our country that make this possible. So a little round of applause for them. David, I don't even know where David is. There's David. So David and I have a couple things in common, not many. I've been with the bank for 20 years, and David's been doing this for 20 years. So we do have one thing in common there as far as those years of service. Definitely want to bring David up to the podium now. I honestly believe that this year is going to be amazing. Just really, my last thanks is to David for all that you do for this touchdown club, one of the largest in the nation, over 500 members. Just very impressive what you put together.
All right. Holy cow. Well, what a great crowd. What a great turnout. I will promise you this. There's not another touchdown club in America that has this many people show up for the lineup announcement. It's not. So one of the great things, and let me know if you can hear me, because I sometimes will turn different directions. One of the things that a lot of folks from other touchdown clubs across the country. Wally, Harold Grader over at Memphis, some of the guys down in Florida that I run across, to go, what are you guys doing? What's happening in Little Rock? We can't get people to show up for our touchdown club. What are you doing? They can't believe the crowds. They can't believe the number of sponsors that we have. It's a unique deal, and there's a lot of different reasons why, of course, and it's great sponsors who I'll recognize here in a second. It's great members. You know, when these guys come in, these ladies come in, they feel the energy. They feel that this means something to you. And this is a community event. You know, I love the fact that we got the door rattlers, the folks who get there 2 hours before rattling the doors trying to get in to see if they can get a good seat. And so, as Chris said, this is year number 20, which is hard to believe. And that's a baby club compared to most of the clubs around the country. I mean, down if you go to Mobile and Tallahassee and Atlanta, they're 75 years old. We're year 20. And the fact that we've had in 20 years, not even, you know, in 19 years, we've had 18 Hall of Fame speakers, 11 Heisman Trophy winners. It's amazing the kind of folks we've gotten in here, but it takes teamwork. It takes the sponsors. It takes the volunteers. It takes the membership. It takes it all. So anyway, so I'm excited. I want to thank some sponsors real quick before we go much further, before I introduce our lineup. And it's one of those things, Chris, I think, too, I get more irritated at the ones I lose than the speakers I get, I think. So I come in today a little irritated because I always lose one or two here at the end. But I'll promise you, there are some that you're going to be entertained by. The difference this year, I think what you're going to see is all 15 weeks. No other touchdown club in America goes 15 straight weeks. I don't know what I was thinking when I started this thing today. I know what was I thinking. You know, a lot of them go 6 and 8. Very rarely do they go 15 straight. And this year, I think, is from start to finish, everybody has a compelling story. I think everybody has something you'll see interesting that will make it interesting regardless of how our Arkansas schools are playing, good or bad. I think it will be compelling throughout the week. There might be some controversy, but, you know, we're the club that, you know, you turn on Monday and you find out there's a viral clip of John Gruden going out to 10 million people, or Ed Orgeron, or somebody getting emotional, or Terry Bradshaw singing a song. So that's the unexpected is always the fun thing at Little Rock Touchdown Club. So let me thank some sponsors real quick. I mentioned 20 years, Simmons Bank. Chris, thank you. George Macris, where's George? Where's George? Is in the back. George, thank you for seeing our vision and being supportive. Everybody here at Simmons, I know there's a lot of Simmons folks here. Not a better presenting sponsor for a touchdown club in America, so thank you. Our 11th year together, 1903 when Simmons was open. Also a new sponsor this year, Stevens. Warren Stevens came with Warren Simpson last year to the Peyton Manning event and said, hey, we need to get involved with this. And as you guys know, Warren Stevens is a huge football guy, loves it. So really excited to have Stevens, and they've got a great working relationship with Simmons, but excited what they're going to do. Appreciate Curtis Jeffrey and their help, and Warren Simpson as well. They started in 1933. So we got 1903, 1933. We have Oakland back again. Wayne Smith, I see you back there, Wayne. Look forward to working with you guys again, and Zach and Chris and all my bets throughout the year. 1904 for Oakland. And then next, right, Lindsay and Jenningsworth. There you are, Judy. 1900 for your firm. And Judy's been with us for a long time and sponsored the Cliff Harris Award. Couldn't do it without Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. And those are 4 companies right there, 1903, 1904, 1933, and 1900. That, man, they're proud to be in Arkansas, and we're proud to be a touchdown club, and we couldn't do it without that kind of help. Crane Automotive, thanks to Christian Crane and Chris Crane. Appreciate them. Sissy's Log Cabin, Bill and Sherry Jones, huge football supporters, Jim Englehorn. Double B, Steve Lytle and Ed Light. Summerwood Sports, the Hendricks family, man, they're great what they're doing in the community. Roller Funeral Homes, where's Renata? Renata's been wanting to be a sponsor for 15 years, even though she's basically been like a sponsor, but we're excited about having Roller involved as a new sponsor. Advantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks, we appreciate him and having Advantage back. I think this is year 4 or 5. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette, I see Wally up there. Wally, you've been with us since day one. Appreciate you all 20 years. And Amanda over there, Amanda Copley, appreciate her. Hatcher Agency, I see Greg. Greg is a behind-the-scenes guy with the Hatcher Agency and Twin City Limo. Anything that needs to be done, Greg swoops in and gets it done for us. We appreciate him and his vision. He's got vision like we do. Simmons Bank Arena, Michael Marion and Janet DeGeorge. We just hope that we can finally beat Mississippi State. We don't have to hear from Michael Marion this year. I think the ones that they sponsor this so he can rub it in our face that we always pick us to beat Arkansas, to beat Mississippi State. We don't do it very often. But thanks to Simmons Bank Arena, Michael and Jana. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis and Stephen Reichert, appreciate you guys being back again this year. You guys are the best. War Memorial Stadium, the Grand Old Lady, I love playing here as a player, great place, and is obviously Simmons Bank Field. Appreciate Shay Lewis as head of the stadium, obviously Secretary of Department of Parks and Tourism and Heritage. Arkansas Urology, we're the only touchdown club in America that both live streams every one of our meetings, and we go live on 103.7 The Buzz. On a 100,000 watt station, no other touchdown club does that in America. Arkansas Urology sponsors that live broadcast. I mentioned 103.7 The Buzz, they're a sponsor too. We appreciate them. They're live right now. They're getting ready to go to the podium here when we start announcing our speakers. AY Media, AY Magazine, Arkansas Money and Politics. Heather Baker, thank you, Heather, for your passion for the club. Also, something new this year, Matt Johnson has handled our AV and sound for 10, 15 years, done a great job. I know Matt's here somewhere. He's been amazing. But we're excited about a new partnership we have with Arkansas PBS. So Arkansas PBS now will be live streaming our meetings every week. So they'll be taking the uniqueness of what we do all over the state to our Kansas who may not get a chance to see it. And, man, what a great team they have. Courtney Pleasure's here and their entire staff. They're first class, proud to work with them. It's going to be an exciting relationship. The Doubletree Hotel, of course, takes really good care of us. Glad to be back there again. And finally, J&F Media and Marketing, Alicia and Jeremy. You know, we have somebody handling our social media because it's become such a big thing that we have these moments that become viral, and we want to manage them, and we want to make sure and share. We want to make sure and share what's happening at the Touchdown Club. So looking forward to visiting, working with Jeremy and Alicia. Also want to thank Debbie Wyman, our executive director. Nobody does it better than Debbie. You're the best. Appreciate you. RJ Hawk was up here, and Chris Kane. They've been two valuable members of the club. They'll be taking over for me probably after today as I turn the keys over to those guys, but they're great. All of our volunteers, there's a lot of volunteers. Nobody has the volunteer base that we have. We have 20, 25, right, Debbie? Nobody in the country has that many volunteers that come in each week to help. And, of course, our members. We have 400 to 500 members, and that's you guys. And it's exciting. It's a place to be. So we're here to announce the lineup. I'm excited. Couldn't do it without all those sponsors. Let's get a round of applause for all those sponsors, too, by the way. As you can see, I am still sweating like I always do. All you folks with Arkansas PBS, just get ready. That's going to be a regular thing for me each week. Maybe if I would lose some weight, but it's a little warm up here by this window, isn't it? It is. It's an excuse for me. All right, so it is time to talk about our lineup. Anita, if you will. So as you know, the first four, we have 4 speakers every year that represent our Arkansas coaches. We'll start with Sam Pittman. He will be speaking to the club August 19th. A lot of expectations for this team with Bobby Petrino being there. We'll sell that out immediately, but look forward, and we appreciate Coach Pittman coming to the Touchdown Club every year. That's an ongoing tradition we've had for a long time. September 16th, Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas AD. That's another tradition that we've started all the way back to Coach Broyles and Jeff Long. And I love this shot of Hunter. He's not your typical AD. He gets pretty fired up. That's September 16th. On October 28th, Butch Jones, Arkansas State. Everybody's excited about what's happening in Jonesboro. They've got some things cooking up there. So look for them to maybe do some damage in the conference this year. But he's getting that program turned around. That's October 28th. It's always great, too, on October 14th to have Nathan Brown, head coach of UCA. He's got something special working at UCA, too. He always does a great job. I know you guys would agree when he speaks to our club. He's very impressive. So those are our 4 in-state speakers that we always have, and great to have them back. Now, our rotational speakers that we bring in for this year. I thought it would be fitting because Coach Petrino has joined Sam Pittman that we bring in somebody that can tell us some stories about Bobby Petrino and know him well and knows his offense well. So we're going to do a 3-person panel on October 21st. We're going to start with maybe the greatest or one of the greatest punt returners of all time and one of the greatest receivers at Arkansas, Joe Adams. Joe is great. Obviously, that's the punt return against Tennessee right there. His name is all up and down the stats sheet for punt returns and receiving. In addition to him, Jarius Wright, obviously played at Arkansas on that same team with Joe, played with the Minnesota Vikings. #1 all-time receiving yards, that's Jarius Wright. He's a superstar. And then, of course, DJ Williams, one of the greatest tight ends to ever play at Arkansas, who was, I think, maybe the most productive from a yardage standpoint of any tight end we've ever had. So those 3 guys will be together talking about Coach Petrino's offense. That is October 21st. Next, we have a guy that I think is one of the classiest guys in the country. I know you guys will recognize him when you see him. He was I think at Arkansas, I was at this particular school, before I tell you who it is, I think he was only with one other guy, the only 3-time All-American at this school. It was the University of Georgia. He was a first-round draft choice. Many of you may recognize his face when you see it. His name is David Pollock. David Pollock will be coming. He was a longtime ESPN analyst. He was bumped out by Pat McAfee. I don't know if we like that or not, but he's a class act. He'll be in late November for our Ken Hatfield Award. I thought there'd not be anybody better to speak about our Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award than David Pollock. Next up is a guy that I've gotten to know a little bit, been around him a little bit at SEC Media Days. Some of you ladies may know him from TV and not from football. This guy was a standout quarterback at Vanderbilt. Matter of fact, I think he's 7th all-time in passing at Vanderbilt. Had the Razorbacks beat, well, if you'll remember, they were down on the 2-yard line, fumbled the ball. Arkansas picked it up, goes 98 yards, and beats them in Nashville. He also has a famous brother named Aaron Rodgers. It is Jordan Rodgers of the SEC Network, and Jordan, of course, won the Bachelorette reality show in 2016. And I figured that day would probably have a strong female attendance. But the good thing about that, he won that 2016, and the woman who picked him, JoJo Fletcher, that was in 2016, they married 6 years later, so they are still together. So that is, so anyway, he does a great job. He's an in-studio analyst for the SEC Network, and he's a rising star. And of course, his brother's Aaron Rodgers, the famous quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Next up, so it's the 60th anniversary of the national championship team at Arkansas. Did y'all know that? It's the 60th anniversary. So those guys are all getting in their 80s, and I thought, hey, it would be a good thing let's bring back a few of them. Let's get them up on the stage, and let's sort of break down that season and some of those games. So we'll start with Freddie Marshall. Freddie is one of the classic guys of all time. He always shows his ring off. There's only one quarterback that's won a national championship, and it's me. You know, he always does that. Freddie will be representing the offensive side of that team in 1964. And, of course, in addition to him, my old coach representing the defensive side of the ball, Ken Hatfield, will be on the panel, too. Obviously, he was one of the number one punt returners in America. So I thought it'd be good. Offense, defense, and there's only one coach that we can bring back for that meeting, and that's Barry Switzer. So Barry is coming back to be a part of that, and that's Coach Switzer there with Jim Lindsey in 1964. So Coach Switzer will be a part of that. That meeting is November 11th. November 11th. Next up, as I mentioned too, you'll see a theme with some of our speakers. A lot of them have played football or coached football, and they're also doing TV now. So next up is a guy that tutored one of the best college quarterbacks in the history of college football. Not as a head coach, but as an assistant. But him doing that led to head coaching positions both at Florida and Mississippi State. Of course, I'm talking about Dan Mullen, who tutored Tim Tebow, and it was also the head coach at Mississippi State and Florida. He's now with the SEC Network. I'm sorry, ESPN, not the SEC Network. So he will bring some great perspective on what the SEC is happening and what's going on with the Razorbacks. But Dan Mullen, you see him there with Tim Tebow. So that is October 7th. Next up is a name that you probably will recognize. He's one of the greatest players in the history of college football when you look at wins and losses. As a starting quarterback, this player is the second all-time winningest starting quarterback to ever play the game of football at the highest level. He was 45-8. Now, the problem is he played for Texas. So we would just have to overlook that. But because Texas is coming to the league, I thought it would be good to bring in another Texas player. This guy was one of the best. I'm talking about Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy will be here. He has about every record you can think of. He was third in the Heisman Trophy race. He beat Arkansas the year I think that they were going to the national championship 52-7, I think, something like that in Fayetteville. So I'm sure we won't talk with him much about that. But he's doing television work for NBC. So he's a sharp guy. Really impressed with him. I look forward to getting him to Little Rock. All right, next up, I mentioned that Colt McCoy had a great year his senior year. Do you remember what happened to him? They went all the way to the national championship, played Alabama. Do you remember what happened to Colt McCoy? If you're a Texas fan, you remember he got hurt, and you said, wonder what would have happened if he had not gotten hurt. Got hurt in the first quarter. Do you remember who he was playing? Alabama. Do you remember who the quarterback was for Alabama that year? You don't. That's the guy that's coming. Greg McElroy, who is now the number 2 broadcaster, analyst behind Kirk Herbstreit. He's quickly climbed the ladder. There he is with Coach Saban. Had a great career, and he was the one that beat Colt McCoy in that 2010 BCS National Championship. But he's really a rising star for ESPN. Like I said, don't be surprised if he's the guy that takes Kirk Herbstreit's place before long. Next up, we have, I was talking about a little bit of controversy and about we want to have things that relate to what's going on as far as topic-wise in college football. This coach was a Broyles Award finalist under Nick Saban at LSU. He goes on to win a national championship at Florida State, then goes to Texas A&M. Things didn't quite go so well. He might have beaten Arkansas a bunch, but things didn't go well. But he was one of the highest-paid coaches to ever coach in college football. And when things didn't work out, his buyout was the highest ever in the history of college football, $77 million. Of course, I'm talking about Jimbo Fisher is coming to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. So I'm going to tell you, it is not easy to get a guy like that after what happened with him this year. So the fact that he's coming here is pretty unique. And I think he will have some great perspective in terms of NIL money, because Texas A&M's had a lot of money, and he's dealt with that firsthand. Of course, he coached the Heisman Trophy winner in Jameis Winston. So I think he's going to give us some really cool insight. So look forward to having Jimbo Fisher on September 23rd. All right, our last three speakers. All three of these guys, I talked about gold jackets. All three of these guys are NFL Hall of Famers. So we got three gold jackets coming in right after Coach Pittman. Boom, boom, boom. This first one is a guy, if you look at the list, the NFL came out with a list of the top 100 players in the first 100 years of football. And we've had a few of them. Roger Staubach, Mean Joe Green, Randy White. So we've had probably 4 or 5. All three of these guys are on that list of the top 100 to ever play in the NFL. This first one is a guy I know pretty well because I played against him in college. And he knew NIL before there was NIL. They were doing NIL before there were NIL. Has a great career at SMU, goes on to play for the Los Angeles Rams. Sets the single-season rushing record at 2,105 yards, and it hasn't been broke in 40 years. He's out in California. To get him all the way to Little Rock is impressive. Like I said, when I was playing, we knew we were playing in the NFL because those guys were getting paid at SMU, but we weren't. I'm talking about Eric Dickerson, everybody. He's going to be coming. So that's he hadn't been to this state in a long time, so looking forward to that. That's September 9th. The next gold jacket, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. You can make the argument one of the greatest linebackers of all time. 2-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Only one of 8 players in the NFL, only 8 players in the NFL history to do that. 13-time Pro Bowl, inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame in 2018. Again, on that 100th anniversary team, this gentleman was Ray Lewis, coming to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. And that's obviously used. That's if you don't know who Ray Lewis is, that's a great pick of him right there. And last but not least, this player was also on that list of the greatest 100 of all time. He's one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time. He was the first quarterback in history to reach 70,000 yards passing, 6,000 completions, 500 touchdowns, and the first guy to beat all 32 NFL teams in NFL history. Nobody in the history of the game has had more starts at quarterback consecutively than him. 321 straight starts. I'm talking about Brett Favre, everybody. Brett Favre's coming. So there you go. So we got just a quick rundown. Sam Pittman, Hunter Yurachek, Butch Jones, Nathan Brown, Joe Adams, Jarius Wright, DJ Williams, David Pollock, Jordan Rogers, Freddie Marshall, Ken Hatfield, Barry Switzer, Dan Mullen, Colt McCoy, Greg McElroy, Jimbo Fisher, Eric Dickerson, Ray Lewis, and Brett Favre. You guys ready to have some fun this year? Awesome. All right. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on August 19th for Coach Pittman. I know we've got food, drinks, and all that over there. Hey, thanks for being here, y'all. We couldn't do this without you. The Little Rock Touchdown Club is you. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here.